Hey guys, and welcome to the maiden flight of my DJI FPV. Let's talk about how I managed to flip it twice on the first day. Let's roll the intro. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is now the first flight, the maiden of my DJI FPV. Let's see how it performs and what I think about it. Should you buy it? So we are up in the air. First we are flying just in normal mode to see where the switches are and how it behaves, and then we are going into sports mode in this first flight here pretty soon. And later in the second flight we will switch it and kick it into ACRO mode and see how this turns out to be. Nice that in the goggles we have the sound recorded. It's a bit strange that if we are recording on the quad, on the DJI FPV itself, there is no sound. So you basically have to stitch the sound and the higher quality image from the quad together. I don't think that's really necessary, and there hopefully is a software update coming soon, but so far so good. At least we have some sound recording. From this point here onwards we are flying already in sports mode, and I really like how it behaves in this mode, since it is rock solid, maintaining the height and banking really nicely into corners, and that gives the feeling of flying, but not stressing you out that you're always worried about crashing into the ground. It really flies nice and gives a way more flight feeling and characteristics over any Mavic product or any other DJI product I know of. The throttle stick are already set up for freestyle and for ACRO mode, so I have that stick loose and can really smoothly maintain and manage the height. Usually it's the throttle that I have good throttle management, but I can use it in this sports mode also to really manage the height I want to fly at and go smoothly from one altitude to another altitude. That is also a very nice way of flying this DJI FPV. And here we are testing the pause button. We are slamming on the brakes by pressing that button, and the quad comes to a standstill as quick as possible, basically throwing all thrust available in the direction you're flying to minimize the stopping distance to come to a standstill in midair. The bailout button, so to say. So far so good. The quad flies nice, I like the sports mode, and we are slowly coming in to landing after our first part of our maiden flight program, which consists out of 2 flights. And in the second flight we will take it into ACRO mode and see how it behaves when I'm treating it like a normal FPV quad, including taking off and landing and testing a little bit how it hovers just in the area still where ground effect can take place. So here we are coming in now for an automated landing, and the first flight is complete and was good. Now we're in the launch position again in ACRO mode. Usually when I'm flying in ACRO mode, I put air mode on a switch and I'm turning air mode off when I'm taking off and land. The DJI FPV doesn't allow you to do that, and there's some form of air mode always on. And since the center of gravity is high and you're having some ground effect during takeoff, you're playing lawnmower like I'm doing here, and that is quite difficult to recover from, since the props are not stopping very quickly, since you don't have a kill switch. Double tapping a button and waiting for the props to stop is definitely too slow. We would need a real actual arm button where we are pressing that the props are stopping and done. Besides the fact that there's no real arm button or kill switch, the problem is that why is the software not killing the props immediately when it realizes that the quadcopter is upside down? Since a lot of damage is done the first second, and hopefully this is fixed with a software update anytime soon. So when taking off in ACRO mode, when you really want to do that, give it really some punch on the throttle that you're getting away from the ground and that you're up in the air, then you're fine. But do not try to gently massage the throttle and hover a little bit. That FPV quad with the high center of gravity and how nervous it reacts in the first centimeters of hovering, it wouldn't be a good idea to try to launch it in ACRO mode, since whatever kind of air mode is built into the software here cannot be turned off. It flies, it gets out of its way, like a luxurious diesel truck from Benz or BMW who wants to sell you those SUVs or trucks. You can imagine that the DJI FPV quad flies. It is not really a high-performing sports car. An FPV quad where you do freestyle with a carbon fiber frame, 5-inch, would perform, if you're taking the same analogy, like a Porsche Carrera GT. So that being said, I don't want to pick on the DJI FPV. It is really nice in sports mode as a cruiser, and for that I will use it and I will enjoy it. But it doesn't do everything in the best way. And this is maybe the challenge DJI took on, and it's determined to fail. There is no way that this quad does everything best. Products are about compromises. And there are very few compromises in this product. They try to throw everything in. They didn't focus on FPV, they didn't focus on making a cinematic drone. They have that already with the Mavics. They try to do something new, and that's great. But the product itself is not a very great FPV freestyle quad. It cannot be, because it has other functions a freestyle quad will never offer. And that alone is giving you some advantages, but that there are no compromises made for building a great FPV quad is leading to having a DJI FPV system which is not performing the greatest when flying in ACRO mode. And for me, the sports mode is the most attractive way of flying this new quad from DJI. What I was actually hoping for is that the pause button is giving more confidence to the pilot, that you always can hit that button and then you are fine. But actually it is not really making you a more confident pilot trying to do more and flying at the edge. Actually it's the opposite. You try to not crash, you want to fly a bit more far away from the ground and from obstacles, and that is actually toxic in the process of becoming a better FPV pilot. You want to push it to the edge and you don't want to be afraid of crashing. Flying in a conservative way will never get you to the next level of flying ACRO mode. And this is what the DJI FPV drone requires you to do, especially if you're a beginner. And if you're not a beginner, you wouldn't pick the DJI FPV drone. Especially if you're a Mavic pilot and you want to get into FPV. Any Mavic pilot who doesn't know how to fly ACRO mode will crash the DJI FPV left and right, and they will have a very bad user experience. So it's even harder to get into FPV and to actually really fly a drone. So if you want to just tip your toes into the water and want to feel how water feels, maybe it's okay, but that way you will never learn how to swim. Maybe putting it that way paints a picture what the situation with the DJI FPV quad really is. I really hope that I could help some of you to make a better quality buying decision and to really know what to expect. You have to make the decision for yourself, and maybe you see it in a different light and different way. Please leave it in the comments below what I might have missed. This is my true first impression and how I feel about the DJI FPV, and I really think it was important to share it here. I really hope the FPV community can grow, and no matter how, anything helps. It is a great hobby to be in. Don't give up and pick your tool, whatever it is, to get better in freestyle and acro mode. Having then the ability to enjoy FPV in the best way possible. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Smash and destroy that like button, subscribe to the channel, that really helps me out. Stay safe and see you on the next one.